All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another Dave Cooper Live show where we bring you the people, the products, and the process, helping us all to build it better. Today, we are excited to introduce Tomas Garcia from ARX, as this conversation represents so much of what I get excited about, like technology. How is technology making our lives easier as builders, as designers, and as developers? How is it enabling us to be more efficient, generate less waste? We're talking digital and physical waste here, people, which normally translates into cold, hard cash, either in the dumpster or in your back pocket. What else gets me going? The next generation. Tomas represents so much of what we have to look forward to with the next generation coming in, asking questions, wondering how to make our industry more productive and, dare I say, fun. Fresh off the International Builders Show, Startup Zone, and an Ivory Prize nominee, get ready to welcome Tomas Garcia, CEO and co-founder of ARX. ARX, what is it? ARX is an AI-driven real estate analytics platform that automatically underwrites the future potential of millions of properties in advance, enabling developers, investors, and agents to source and evaluate optimal investment and development opportunities in seconds. That's right, seconds. I love this. We're going to have a great show today. But first, we need to say thank you to our sponsors for allowing us to deliver all of these innovative people and products to you each and every week. So how about we take a big shout out for them? Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory, optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Halleck Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, halleckltd.com. All right. Thanks to our sponsors one last time. Make sure you go and visit each and every one of them and thank them for bringing all these innovative conversations. All right. Without further ado, let's bring Tomas Garcia onto the show. Tomas, how are you?
Hey, Dave. How's it going? Thank you for having me on the show.
Man, it's going great. I'm pumped up. I'm having fun. I love the fact that you're going to help us underwrite millions and millions and millions of properties and dollars across the country, help with the affordable housing issues that's going on. I know that's near and dear to your heart as well.
Absolutely.
But before we hop into this whole ARX platform that you've built, we want to know a little bit about you. So with that said, we want to know everything about you. From the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we will call your brother, your mother, or somebody on this show, and I'm sure it'll get quite embarrassing. But it only takes a minute or two, so go ahead, give us your elevator pitch on who Tomas is, and then we'll get into ARX.
Absolutely. I mean, I think my folks are actually watching the show, so shout out to the parents at home. My brother's probably also watching as well. I hope he is, at least.
Well,
so hi everyone.
Comments.
Yeah, exactly right. And then jump into the comments section there if if I'm saying anything wrong, you can always jump in. But anyway, so hi everyone. My name is Tomas Garcia. I'm co-founder and CEO of ARX. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. I'm the son of immigrant parents from Argentina. So that has always been a very, very big part of who I am, especially when it comes to football and the World Cup. So I can't resist, making that plug now that we have 3 stars. But anyways, moving on. So now I live in Los Angeles. Now I just moved here after 7 years in Chicago. So I'm still getting very, very used to the fact that it is March 8th and there is not a blizzard outside. It's actually 60 degrees and very pleasant. From my background, I went to Tufts University for my undergraduate. I've always been interested in policy and politics. So I actually started off studying international relations and quantitative economics, and have always been very interested in how economic policies can actually can be used to better society and actually improve the quality of life for people across the country at a mass scale. I started my career at Goldman Sachs in New York. I was an investment banking analyst there for just under 3 years, working in the natural resources group there, working largely on renewable power deals. Ultimately, I left Goldman, went to get my JD MBA at the University of Chicago. So that's actually what brought me to Chicago. And there I also was focused on economics as well as econometrics and statistics. So I actually, am a relative newcomer to the real estate industry. I really, my entire professional career was always focused on economics and finance. And it really was my brother. So my brother, Hernan, he's my co-founder. So he's been an architect, worked at a number of different shops. It's really him who one day kind of just gave me a call and he said, "Hey, Tomas, I know you're a finance guy." He's like, "I'm an architect. Why don't we jump into doing some fix and flip development work together?" So it's a very, very classic start, I think, in the industry. Yeah. And so that's really what that's the first step that brought me to where we are here today, and actually why I'm on the show in the first place.
Well, we're happy to have you on the show. And you know what? We should have brought your brother on the show with us as well. So maybe we'll save that for round 2 when you're cashing out from a big paycheck from Elon Musk or somebody down the road, if that's the goal. But listen, so let's hop into this, because I mean, this is a tool that really can change how we find properties, how we develop properties, and how do we do it in a very efficient manner that will also help us, realize what our return on investment could possibly be. So I'm excited to hop into this thing, man. So how does ARX, catalyze the development of an equitable built world?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what ARX is ultimately is it is a decision-making tool. It's a tool in your tool belt, the same way that, a saw or a hammer is going to help somebody build a house. ARX is going to help you optimally deploy your time and your capital across the real estate industry. So the way that we view this is ultimately catalyzing the development of an equitably built world is, we understand that when it comes to development, there are an incredible amount of barriers and frictions to the development process. These are frictions that are born out of supply chain issues, out of regulatory issues, out of misaligned economic incentives. These are all things that make development in this country harder than it actually should be. And these aren't just, this isn't just me sitting on the sidelines and saying, wow, I've noticed these issues in the housing industry. There was the chief economist of the National Association of Home Builders recently testified that all of these issues combined have led to an undersupply of housing in the United States, amounting to, I believe it's 1.5 million residences over the last decade that should have been produced but weren't produced as a result of these inefficiencies. So our vision for ARX is to cut through those frictions and allow more developers to deliver more housing where it's needed.
I love it. And I love Rob Dietz as well. He's been on our show several times, the chief economist for the NAHB. Yeah. So is this yet another Bloomberg for real estate?
Absolutely not. So we got asked that question a lot, particularly when we're talking to more on the venture capital side of things, because I think there are dozens of companies that are out there who are, saying that they're building the next Bloomberg for real estate. And look, like I'm a former Wall Street guy. I am all too familiar with the Bloomberg terminal. Bloomberg is great. What it is it is an aggregation of data streams that you then pay a very, very hefty sum of money to access and be able to investigate. And what Hernan and I like to say is, we like to joke around off of those venture capital calls and say, we're not building the Bloomberg for the real estate industry. We're building the Costco of analytics for the real estate industry. Because yes, bringing all of these disparate data streams together in one place and providing those as a service, that is a service in and of itself. But really what the real estate industry is lacking right now is analytics. Because you can have all of the data in the world, Dave. I could hand you, I could give you a direct line to all the data feeds that are currently being fed into ARX, and I could say, go run with this. And that's a lot of data that you're then going to have to sit down And on a, geography by geography basis, the variables change, the importance of variables change. It's impossible to make sense of for the average person. And so, no, we don't want to become the Bloomberg, of real estate, where we are, charging a very, very, very high price to access these just raw data streams. We want to become the Costco of analytics. We want to ingest all that data, make sense of it for you, translate it into actionable items, and then provide it to you at a price that anyone who's remotely interested in real estate can access. Because that's really how we envision, actually doing good with our business, with our business. We want to put this tool into the hands of as many people out there as possible, because that's how you create more transactions. That's how you bring more supply onto the market. And that's how you start to address the housing crisis that's going on in this country.
So this is a great thing, because we got tens of thousands of people that watch our show all around the world that are going to be interested in this, and they're all interested in real estate. So, all right, everybody, if you are just joining us, we are talking with Tomas Garcia from ARX, and yes, we're about to jump into a live demonstration. So this isn't all talk. There's actually a product here that we're going to show you and go through, and we'll go through the website as well. But I have one last question. What does search the future even mean? Because that's a term that I've heard you use.
Absolutely. So, and this is actually a great question just to talk about, what is ARX? What's going on under the hood? Because I think there are a lot of different approaches to making development more efficient. And really what makes ARX unique is that we are actually underwriting the future in advance. So if you think about the process of development, let's just start with site selection, right? So first off, you have to, every single professional out there knows the pain of sourcing a site. You know the pain of, searching for addresses based on past heuristics, whether that's, I've done development on 25 by 100 foot lots, and that's worked great for me in the past, or I know this neighborhood really, really well. And so I know that I can build a certain building configuration here that's going to get through the approvals process relatively quickly, which, that's always a challenge. Everyone knows that pain. You narrow the list of possible sites down, you get a list of addresses, you start to go and kick the tires on that address. So you're pulling up the zoning information, you're trying to see what can I actually build here, you're looking at building code, you're looking at any sort of local overlays, and you're really trying to just produce, what types of buildings can I actually put on this site in the first place. Once you've got that configuration in mind, you then have to go and say, okay, now I'm gonna do the really, really fun part. Speaking as an ex-investment banker, we're going to build our financial model. So we're gonna jump into Excel. We're going to have that financial model, and we have to populate all of the assumptions into that financial model. So typically, these models are shared around with internal teams, and they'll say, hey, this is what we think we're going to acquire the site for. This is what we think our construction is going to be. This is going to be the framing, the site work. These are our soft costs, and ultimately, what do we think we can actually sell this thing for? Right? What's our exit strategy here? You do all of that. And then you arrive at a return on investment, right? And just based on that number, you're making that decision on, is it worth going to kick the tires on this site any further, right? And what Hernan and I realized when we were going through that exact same process, when we were doing our own development work, is we said, we're looking at these sites, but we already have a site in mind. What if we're looking at the wrong site? And what if we're wasting all of this time underwriting sites that we never should have underwritten in the first place? So we asked other developers, how much time are you wasting underwriting sites that you never should have looked at in the first place? And the constant refrain is always, 70%, 80%. I talked to a person last week who said 90% of his time spent underwriting sites never should have even looked at those sites in the first place. So what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Thomas. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go for it.
No, I could talk forever. This is my baby. So if you have any
well, I was going to say, before Dave Cooper Live, we were builders and developers, and I can remember that it would take months, if not years, to get a project off the ground based on regulations, site conditions, local requirements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I still wouldn't know if I'm going to make money on it yet, because that takes another several months to years sometimes to pull it all together financially and really understand it. So I can relate 100% to what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's find me a developer that can't, right? That's I want to be that person.
For sure.
But no, yeah. So really what ARX is ARX is leveraging the power of artificial intelligence and using it to run these types of simulations en masse in advance across an entire geography. So what we're doing is we're saying right now, our system currently supports residential spec development. So, finding sites for single family up through 4-unit quadruplex infill development. We are going to rapidly expand the technology to cover all asset classes, all strategies such as renovation, fix and flip, and rental. So that's all coming in the future, but this is just where we've gotten started. And right now we're in 2 geographies, in Los Angeles and Seattle. And we are also rapidly expanding along that front. But so what I can say is that for every single property in Los Angeles and Seattle that supports exactly what we just talked about, ARX has done that process. ARX has looked at that site. It said what's on that site, what can go on that site, and then actually built the underwriting model with all the assumptions pre-populated to actually get to that ultimate ROI. And so what that allows users of our platform to do is go in and actually search the future. You can go in and say, where really across this market is the best use of my capital and my time as a developer.
This is awesome. So we're going to jump into it in just 1 second. But first, I got to make an announcement. So everybody, we are going to be at Advancing Prefabrication March 14th through the 17th. Save yourself 10% on signing up with promo code DCLive10. I will be there all week long. And then Friday, hey, if you live near Notre Dame, I'll be in Notre Dame Friday for the weekend. A little bit of hockey tournaments going on there. But with that said, Thomas, I think it's time to show people what they came here to see. And that's what you built. What do you think?
Absolutely. Let's jump in.
Perfect. Let's put it up on the screen. Go for it.
All right. So I love doing live demos. They're actually my favorite because I always love walking people through. So welcome to ARX. So as you can see, this is right now we're looking at a map of Seattle. You can see a lot of blue dots on the screen. So just for those of us who have never seen this platform before in our lives, what those blue dots represent are those profitable projects that ARX has pre-simulated in advance. So what that means by profitable is just greater than a 0% return, right? So that's not necessarily going to be getting anyone out of bed, but I'll show you how we can actually narrow that field down. So first off, we'll just start by searching across all of Seattle. So I'll just type Seattle into the address bar right here. And you can see that we're immediately loaded into this list of 12,777 properties in Seattle on which ARX has pre-simulated in advance 23,875 profitable projects. Now, for each one of these properties, you get what the address is, what's on there, an estimate of what that property is worth, what the asset type of the proposed top project is, its profit, its cost, and its length. And we always get immediately to the spot, and the first question says, well, where are these numbers coming from? This project, this cost, this length. And remember, just keep in mind that underlying each one of these cards is that fully pre-built, pre-populated financial model. So we're going to get to that part of the demo. It's just going to take, get 2 minutes of your time. So first off, what we can do is, 12,777 profitable sites is a pretty good start. But let's narrow that down. Let's start searching the future here. So first off, we have our quick filters up here. You can really start to slice and dice this data set however you want. Right now, just according to strategy, we do only support build to sell, but we are incorporating, as I mentioned, rentals into the system, renovations into the system. Actually, one of our top priorities over the next couple of months is ADUs, which we can touch on again after this live demo. So we can talk about that a little bit as well. So let's just say, right now that I'm interested in looking at projects that generate, larger than a 20% unlevered IRR. I don't get out of bed for less than that. And you can already see that the list has been dramatically narrowed down, right? Now we're, instead of 12,000 odd properties, we're looking at 1,000 odd properties. Let's say that I want to spend no more than, $900,000 of my own cash on this project. I have debt financing lined up. If I don't have debt financing lined up, it's as simple as just toggling that off, and then I can search based on total project cost. So I'll say I have $900,000 of cash per project that I want to deploy. And finally, let's say, I have a very specific LP in my capital stack. They need their money back in 21 months. So I'm gonna give myself a 1 month cushion, and I'm gonna say, show me projects that can be completed soup to nuts in 20 months here. So now we're down to 817 properties. This list is significantly more manageable than it originally was. Oh, and by the way, you can also search based on asset class. So here, I'll just throw on a single family residential there. And if this isn't enough, these are just the quick filters, right? This is just to give you get you started. You can slice and dice this by however you want. If you want to look for properties that are zoned a certain way, that have certain types of buildings on there, different, if something that hasn't transacted recently, something that has a certain debt load on it or was assessed a certain way, or even by other future characteristics, right? If I want to build a particular configuration, if I'm, I specialize in building 3,250 square foot structures, I can put that on here, 4-bed, 3-bath, no problem. Same thing for the financials. If I need to hit certain revenue targets, or even if I really don't care about unlevered IRR, I care about my equity multiple, you can search based on any of those types of criteria here as well. That's all within the platform. But let's say, I'm interested in one of these products here. So let's say this one right here has caught my eye, this project. What I can do is I can click into it, and I'm loaded in, and I can see kind of all of the existing information that's on this site. So I can see what it's zoned as, kind of everything that you're used to seeing on pretty much every single data feed platform that's out there. This stuff, the existing information, it's nice that it's all brought into one place, but this isn't really where the magic of ARX is. The magic is down here under potential projects. So we can just click this tab right here, and we're brought up the list of 4 projects that ARX has pre-simulated on this site that meet the criteria that we input before. If one of these catches my eye, I can click on it. And here I'm getting that tear sheet, of that financial model. This would be the end result that I might send to, if I'm an agent, I might just send this tear sheet to a developer. If I'm a developer, I'm going to scan over this and see, does this actually make sense to me? I might shoot it off to my lender to see if they are interested in this type of project. This is really just the kind of the high level overview. What does this project actually look like? If I'm interested, I want to take it a step further, we can dive right in to that fully pre-built, pre-populated financial model. Now, when I say pre-populated, a lot of people ask me, where are these assumptions coming from? This goes back to that, we're not the Bloomberg of data, we're the Costco of real estate analytics, right? So we are ingesting all of those different data streams. We have permit data, zoning data, construction cost estimation data, parcel boundary, footprint, all these different types of data sets are feeding into this system. And then ARX's advanced AI is actually looking at those data sets and training models on those data sets and then making predictions on each one of these assumptions in order to load you into this pre-populated model. So just to quickly, locate us within the model, you can always take a look again at what the existing information on that site is. You can go into more detail on what ARX is proposing as a configuration for that site, down to the amenities, construction quality and type, so on and so forth. And then that specific configuration is what is being simulated here. So here, we can see how long does ARX think it's going to take this thing to get through designs and approvals in this area? 9 months, long time. Yeah, that actually makes sense. Construction, about 6 months. Sales, about 2 months. And also, I just randomly picked this project. So this is, we're getting a live look at what ARX thinks here. You can jump in and you can see, that categorical breakdown. What do we think we're going to acquire that site for? What do we think the breakdown of hard costs is down, broken down to this level, specialties, mechanical, electrical. You can see, what do we think those soft costs are going to be? What do we think you're ultimately going to be able to sell that property for? And even down to the financing assumptions. Look, like I'm an ex-Goldman banker. Debt modeling is the worst. The number of models that I've looked at from developers where the debt load is all over the place. Just this alone, I think is makes me happy to play around with, where I can easily just start to move assumptions and the debt load updates appropriately. But anyway, so you have everything that you're used to within a financial model, and most importantly, everything's live, right? So the purpose of ARX is to get you 90% of the way there. We want to cut out all of the bad projects, focus your attention on the sites that are actually worth you taking the time to kick the tires on further. And of course, everyone has their own cost of capital. Everyone has their own construction costs. And that's why we make everything easy to adjust, right? I can go in here and I can say, actually, I know a guy. My site work's going to be cheaper than this. I can just input my new site work. Everything is live and flows through. It's almost honestly a little bit too fast. It updates too quickly. I think I'm going to acquire that site for 1.6 million. Look at that. I am never going to go near this project. I can immediately just say this is a no-go for me. But more realistically, let's bump it down to 1. Something that we know from our own experience as operators is that machine learning algorithms are great. Artificial intelligence is great. But a lot of the time, that what when we see folks in technology companies applying these types of technologies to the real estate industry is that a lot of the time the algorithm can become untethered from reality. So something that we know and that we've learned through, from our pilot users is that comparables are extremely important, right? Everyone wants to see what's actually justifying, that algorithm. What data points is the algorithm using to make that prediction? And so what's really important for us is that for every prediction that ARX is making, for the acquisition and the sales, you have comps, right? You can just click that button and you can immediately load in and see, what recent transactions have actually occurred in this neighborhood that support what ARX is predicting, because we know that that's how operators function. It's very important to take a look at the underlying comps and not just blindly trust an algorithm.
Wow. So, when I'm looking at this and we think about the top tier developers here in the US, I mean, there isn't a whole lot of diversity within those groups, whatsoever. Do you see this tool creating an opportunity for many others to enter the real estate development world?
Absolutely. So this is democratizing development, right? This is taking market analytics and financial acumen that's typically reserved for, a lot of the big guys, and they do it very, very well, and they're very efficient at what they do. This is taking a lot of that and saying, here it is. This is now available for everybody. And that goes back to our, really our ultimate objective, which is to democratize access to these types of analytics, because it's not enough to just put terabytes of data in somebody's hand and say, now go do this, right? We understand developers are very good at developing. Data science isn't necessarily a core competency, right? And it shouldn't be a core competency. So we want to take that burden off and really just allow anyone, right, who wants to get into real estate development to very quickly be able to understand the market that they're operating in, or potentially new markets. One last thing on the demo really quickly, we get asked this question a lot, is we see developers who intimately understand their local markets, right? Mm-hmm. And they know what can get through designs and approvals. They know that market like the back of their hand. But then they say, well, I want to take my development strategy and expand, right? I've gotten to the point where now I'm being constrained because the only place that I can actually operate in is the one that I know really well, like the back of my hand. The beauty of this system is once, you can input your criteria, and then you can start to look at new markets, and you can say, hey, I'm actually, what about across here? What about in Kirkland? I can see Kirkland's actually a great market that supports my specific development criteria that I was previously using in Seattle. And ultimately, one of our true visions for this platform is that, we know that nobody is really pure play, right? Like, we're all trying to deliver more housing. We're all trying to earn a return because that's what we need to survive. We're all at the end of the day, we're businesses. And one of our main objectives with ARX really is to allow folks to, stand back and look at the real estate industry from this agnostic point of view and say, hey, once we have rentals and renovations into the system, depending on where the market is at any given point, you could be a flexible developer, a flexible operator. You could say, hey, I've got $5 million of LP cash that I need to deploy across Kirkland over the next 3 years or 4 years or whatever your time horizon is. ARX, help me make that decision on what I should be developing, what I should be investing in. Maybe this is more like a modern portfolio theory, right? I should be building some quadruplexes for rental in this area. Maybe I should be doing some spec single family homes over in this area. That's really the vision of ARX, is to help developers and real estate professionals ultimately just make better decisions and be empowered with the tools to help them make those decisions.
So I got 2 questions here for you. And I want to go back to what you mean by an equitably built world. So when you say that, are you talking about home ownership or the real estate development industry in general, or is it both?
I think it's a little bit of both, because one of the it's not just about home ownership, right? It's also it's about increasing supply of housing to the market, right? We are fundamentally in a housing crisis. We're in an affordability crisis in this country. I live in Los Angeles. I'm a renter. I feel the housing crisis as a renter because rents have skyrocketed. So it's not just about, it's not this idea that everybody should be a homeowner. It's about how can we empower the real estate industry to deliver units of housing where needed to bring us up to an equilibrium point where supply actually meets demand. Yep. Something we see in something that we've seen all too often in the real estate industry is we see a lot of, there are companies that are out there, they're doing tremendous work, and it's on the demand side of things, right? So they're increasing opportunities or making it easier for folks to, purchase housing or rent. And these are all terrific solutions. The world needs these solutions, but fundamentally they are demand side solutions, right? They're helping treat symptoms. What we believe the root cause of this affordability crisis at the end of the day is it's basic it's supply and demand. There is an undersupply of housing in this country. And so anything that we can do as a technology company to help developers cut through that noise and deliver more housing where it's needed most, whether that be, single family homes, whether that be ADUs, whether that be building more multifamily for rental. All of these things ultimately contribute towards helping the affordability crisis in this country. It's not just about the dream of homeownership.
Do you see the government officials looking at this to revitalize neighborhoods and rebuild, where it's needed?
Absolutely. So that's also one of our hopes for this platform is that ultimately it can be used as a policy advocacy tool. So one of the things that we've seen time and time again is that there is a disconnect between legislative intent and economic feasibility. So what do I mean by that? So I mean that in some cases, I'm in Los Angeles. Let's use California as an example. In some cases, good common sense legislation is passed. Let's take, in California, SB 9 was passed last year, right? And what SB 9 allows developers in California to do, theoretically, is it removes this barrier from just, sites being zoned to single family and allows for actual densification on those sites through the additions of ADUs, both detached and attached, if you can meet certain restrictions. Great common sense legislation. Now, that legislation was passed, and according to a recent study by, I believe it's the Turner Center at UC Berkeley, up to November of 2022, which is when that study ran, only 53 developments were permitted under SB 9. 53. And that statistic to me is just absolutely mind-boggling, because it means that there's a clear disconnect between what the legislators intended by saying, okay, now you can actually densify these areas, and then there's no actual action on the private markets to deliver that housing. So what does that mean? Private markets aren't stupid, right? People know what they're doing. It's just that there's an overburden of regulations, and that make it very, very difficult for people to figure out, okay, so maybe it's allowed, maybe I can do it, but should I do it? Right? And I think the answer from the private market in this case is no, I probably shouldn't do it, because once I've cut through that noise, I see that it's not economically feasible for me to deliver more housing in the way that the legislators intended. So ultimately, what we would like to do is use ARCs to sort of pre-simulate these futures and show legislators, hey, if your intent is to actually get folks to start subdividing these lots or get folks to start putting 4 units where there's currently 1, you're going to have to provide them with these economic incentives to actually get the private markets to start delivering housing. Because at the end of the day, the private market, needs to make a profit, right? Everyone is out here trying to, make a living, feed their families, and it has to be economically feasible in order to actually deliver more housing.
I love it. I love it. All right, everybody, listen, I know there's a couple questions out there. We're going to get to those in just a moment. But I mean, to me, this is kind of the elephant in the room question, right? Why haven't you started an investment fund and used this yourself? I mean, you could mop it up, man. Like you could pretty much have every great property across the country as you grew this. What's the reason behind it?
Yeah, and we get that question a lot. So we've actually had offers to start investment funds before as sort of the tech side of things. And look, like really fundamentally, we're a mission-driven business, right? Hernan and I, from day one, when we sat down and we said, what do we want to achieve with ARCs? What we want to achieve is catalyzing the development of an equitably built world. Not to say that again and again and again, but that's what we fundamentally believe. And we believe that the way that we can do that is not to create this technology and then keep it for ourselves and use it to make bundles and bundles of money. That would be great, but that's not our objective. We're not driven by profit here. We're driven by our mission. And our goal is to get this into the hands of, as I said, as many real estate professionals as possible, because that's how you start to move the market back to its, to a steady state equilibrium versus where we currently are today.
Perfect. Let's go to some questions. You ready?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Dennis Staggerwall. What's up, Staggy? I don't know if he likes that name or not, but that's what I just call him. Good to see you, Dennis. Partnership opportunity with Eve Picker and Small Change Co. ?
I will have to look into Eve Picker and Small Change Co. Yeah.
Good. I was hoping you knew what it was.
I'm writing that down.
Look at Dennis. Come
Thanks,
on, Dennis. Give us more than that, man. Don't make me come through the screen. Oh, there we go. Think about the access this gives you to the smaller, more agile teams that oftentimes are better suited to execute projects in their home communities.
Absolutely.
For sure. Appreciate you, Dennis. Thank you for that. All right, we got Peter Molinar out there. Would you advance capital to those who develop and build? I guess, what does it say? Build comfortable. He's using the PH for passive house. Comfortable, quiet, high performance, airtight, well insulated, energy efficient, and continuously ventilated, including ERV buildings.
So we are, at the end of the day, we are fundamentally a technology business. So we're not, and that's one of the things, we get asked a lot, why don't we take this technology and create more of a balance sheet business, right? Focused on lending to folks leveraging this technology. For us, really, it's about reach, right? So we are not a balance sheet business. So we do not, we don't act or use this information ourselves. We don't purchase homes. We don't advance loans. Our focus is fundamentally on getting high quality analytics into the hands of as many people as possible. That's at least what we're doing for the foreseeable future. I would say that there's always an opportunity to discuss potential collaborations. If there is, a lender that's out there who's interested in leveraging ARX to empower their lending business, we have those types of conversations all the time. So I'd encourage those folks to reach out.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you for the question. All right. Henry Mickelberg. There are a bunch of what-if data set scraping configurators. My current favorites are Archistar and Urban Intelligence offerings, mainly because they use loads of data sets, including below-ground information, and have proven planning, permitting, fast-track portals. What do you think your USP is compared to them? And for those out there who don't know what USP is, it's a unique selling proposition.
Absolutely. So I think that, I've come across Archistar and Urban Intelligence. I think that our unique selling proposition is that, we are hyper focused on the financial impact of projects, which is what we think makes the most difference for the vast majority of developers out there. A lot of these other platforms that are out there are focused on single site optimization. So you search for a site based on, kind of existing characteristics or a sort of rough idea. If it's a rental property, you can search based on cap rates, things like that. And then once you've narrowed in on that single site, that's when you start that's when those platforms and those tools are extremely powerful, right? That where you can start to do this sort of building configuration generation, and you can get highly customized in the visual massing and in the actual permits and applications process. All of that is where those platforms excel. And I think they're truly great products. Where ARX is differentiated is that we're actually, I believe we are a step earlier in the chain than these sort of single site optimizers, right? Our intent is saying, if you're focused on optimizing a single site as it is, you might be, focused on the wrong site in the first place. We want to make sure that based on our future underwritings, that you're focused on the sites that actually have the most bang for your buck. We're going to get you 90% of the way there. And then I think a single site optimizer tool, that's a perfectly great option for folks who want to say go from 90% up to 95% of the way. But we're focused on that actual site selection.
Perfect. All right, Andrew Seeley in the house. Democratizing development is a great focus. Good to see you, Andrew. Thank you for that. All right, now we got the big dog in the house, Greg Ugaldi, past chair, National Association of Home Builders. Doesn't get any higher than that. Great products, Tomas. You should offer an option for builders, developers to order a search with parameters, and then you coach them through the options in the marketplace. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that's a great, it's a great suggestion. That's a request that we've gotten before. So, one of our passions is trying to make sort of these high-end analytics as easily understandable as possible. But I agree, our platform right now can be overwhelming. It's a lot to search through. It's a lot to understand. So for us, really, the right now our focus is on how can we be sort of this pure play technology business. So that means, creating a simplified interface, which very much is going to be sort of the more virtual coach like you're talking about, Greg. But then we always might also offer sort of a more high-end sort of white glove service, we could say, where a developer can tell us, what types of projects they're looking for, and we can send them that sort of curated analysis as well. So that's all in the works. It's not ready for prime time yet, but I think that's a great suggestion. I appreciate it. You bringing it up.
Absolutely. Hey, Demita, nice to see you as well. And she said, nice search by cap rate. Very cool. So, and of course, Dennis is saying, let's bring Pittsburghers together. Bringing those Pittsburghers together. That's right. Dennis is in Pittsburgh here with us as well. So appreciate you, Dennis. Always do and forever. And they got a nice event coming up in Colorado at the Housing Innovation Alliance. So you want to check them out if you're interested in some fun stuff. Dennis does some amazing things as well. Hey, Tom Reed, good to see you, my friend from Howick. They're a sponsor of ours. I'm glad they joined today. Nice to see you, Tom. If you guys aren't familiar with Howick, they're the ones that allow us to bring people like Tomas on this show because they support Dave Cooper Live, and we're really proud to have them. So, all right, here we go. We're going to wrap this up. This is the last question I have for you today, Tomas. What's your roadmap for expansion across geography, investment strategy, and asset class?
Absolutely. So, I think one of the biggest challenges that we have as a startup actually is tied to this question, right? Which is everyone that we show this platform to in the real estate industry wants it. They want it for their specific asset class, their specific investment strategy, and their specific geography. So as a startup, we're extremely humbled. We're honored. We're excited that everyone is as excited about the product that we're producing as we are. And for us, it's just about how do we expand as quickly as possible to get this into the hands of as many people as possible. So what I'll say is from a near-term roadmap perspective, we are currently in the process of expanding into Orange County. So still, building out the base in Southern California. We are having and from an asset class perspective, we're in the process of incorporating accessory dwelling units as a search option. So pretty soon, you'll have the tool that helps you answer that question of not just can I, under SB9 actually do something on this site, but you'll have the answer to should I under SB9 do something on this particular site with vis-a-vis ADUs. We're also in the process of incorporating renovations into the system, in a shifting market environment like the one that we're currently in with rising rates. Obviously, we see a lot of focus turning back towards the sort of the fix and flip market. And so we want to make sure that we're well positioned to help our developer clients navigate that transition. If they are more fundamentally used to doing sort of spec development, new construction, now it's almost a totally different ballgame, right? So I would say that these sort of renovations, ADUs, and near-term geographic expansion, all of that's coming sort of over the next 2 to 3 months. But what I will say, and this is sort of an ask of everyone who's watching today, is a lot of our expansion is driven based on feedback from our pilot customers, as well as from folks who approach us and say, "Hey, I love what you're doing. Can we roll this out in my market?" So if you have even the slightest thought of saying, "Hey, this looks really cool. I'd like to connect," I would say please get in touch, because that's how we're thinking about our expansion, which is to say, we're looking for highly motivated folks who are passionate about using technology to advance their own real estate practice. And we're partnering with those folks. So a lot of our near-term geographic rollout is going to be led by folks who have approached us, totally either via introduction or just, totally randomly. And we've struck up that conversation. We're saying, okay, so now let's talk about what it would take to deploy ARCs in Houston. That's a little spoiler alert. The Texas market is coming soon. So it's those types of conversations driven by passionate real estate professionals that are really going to help us, figure out where we're going to expand first. So if you want to be sort of one of the earliest users of this new technology, the best way to be that early user is to talk to me.
There you have it. Talk to Tomas. I mean, It's either him or his brother. That's the only two options I think you really have. But they're both great options. So Tomas, for people to be able to check out more of what you're doing, let me just put this up here. Right, you do have a website up, ARC. So go here, check it out, see everything they have going on. I believe you can even try it for free on there. So there's a lot of great information here. For the most part, pretty much everything we talked about, just not in as much details as what we've gone over. Is there anything unique about the site you want to mention?
Anything unique about the site? Say there's no credit card required to do our trial. So, I mean, I hate it when you sign up for a trial and it has you input your details and they're banking on you forgetting. Right. So I would say that it really is as easy as just going to the site, signing up. You'll have a free 3-day trial. That's full unfettered access to our system. Hey, if you're in Los Angeles or Seattle, use it. Find some good development deals. Right? See it work for you, and then tell me about it because I'd love to hear those stories. Our pricing is up there. It's pretty cheap. I think the cheapest price is $84 a month. Yeah. So it's you're going to make 10 times, 20 times, 30 times back that, using ARCs on your first deal that you find with us. So I would say it's very, very low risk. Give it a shot. And if it's something that you're interested in, my email is pretty easy. It's Tomas, TOMAS, at arcs.city. So you can always just shoot me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Love it. Love it. Demetrius, thank you so much. Dave, love your show. I don't watch the news, but I enjoy tuning in to Dave Cooper Live. Well, I appreciate you tuning in as well, and I hope you're well. And make sure you network if you're in the comments. Let everybody know what you guys all do out there so you can do business together. That's a big part of what the show is about. All right, Tomas, did I miss anything? Is there anything that you want to leave us with before I wrap up the show here?
No, I mean, I just want to say thank you again, Dave. I really appreciate you having on the show. It's an honor. It's a terrific show. And I appreciate the opportunity to share more about, what we're working on at ARCS. Our mission here is to catalyze the development of an equitably built world. We do that by getting, as many real estate professionals as possible plugged into the highest quality analytics. So if you have any interest, please feel free to reach out. And thanks again, Dave. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you as well. All right, everybody, don't go anywhere. Tomas, I'll come right back to you. Remember, March 14th. Yeah, that's next week. I'm going to be live on location there. We will be doing some filming, having some fun, hanging out with Amy Marks, the queen of prefab. And you can save yourself 10% if you haven't signed up yet using the promo code DCLive10. Make sure you come and check it out. We're going to have a lot of fun. And like I said, if you live anywhere near Notre Dame, I will be there Friday through Sunday. Look me up. Let's hang out. Let's check each other's work and what we're doing and have some fun and make sure we're always building it better because there's a better way to do things, right?
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. All right, everybody, listen, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go check out ARCS and everything Tomas and his brother and his team is doing. Support them. Just sign up for one of those demos. And remember, Tomas gave you his email earlier on. Email him. Get the answers you need that you're asking. Tomas, stay right there. I'll come back to you after the outro. Everybody else, here's that promo one more time.